Srila Prabhupada is a dedicated disciple of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada. Our Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, was a very special individual. It was predicted at birth when the astrologers or the astrologer read his birth chart that he would travel to the Western countries and that he would establish temples all over the world. This was something that was predicted at an early age. Srila Prabhupada met his spiritual master and was given the instruction to preach in English in the Western countries. He wasn't in a position to be able to do that at the time. He was a young householder, but at the first meeting with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada accepted Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada as his guru, and he meditated on those instructions all throughout his life. He was later, 12, 13 years later, initiated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada and became a very dedicated, if not famous, disciple. He was honoured with the title Bhaktivedanta because of his erudition and his scholarship and his power as a preacher, even as a householder. And when he took sannyas, he showed an extreme amount of dedication and single-minded focus on the order of his guru, and he struggled very, very hard through at least 2 decades, if not more, of preaching in India and then preaching in America with very little success, with very little reciprocation, with very little recognition. But that didn't stop him. And even whilst preaching in America, for the first 3 or 4, possibly 5 years, you could say, or maybe not that long, 3 years, Srila Prabhupada didn't encounter a lot of success. But we can see from the strength of his conviction and the effort and endeavour that he put into preaching, despite any immediate success, he remained dedicated and he remained faithful to the order of his spiritual master. And then we see in the history of ISKCON, especially in the early years, how Srila Prabhupada was able to establish a worldwide mission from practically nothing. The 40 rupees that Srila Prabhupada brought from India to America, it was useless, it was worthless actually. So effectively, even though he had 40 rupees, how was he going to spend 40 rupees in America? In fact, that 40 rupees he spent on the taxi that he took from the airport when he arrived in Delhi. So Prabhupada, for all intents and purposes, went to America with nothing, and yet by the grace of the Lord and through the effort, the surrender that he manifest in establishing the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, underlines his special identity as a very, very faithful servant of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada and as a very special servant of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Prabhupada was able to single-handedly fulfill the prediction of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, fulfill the prediction of Vrindavan Das. Was it Vrindavan Das who wrote the Chaitanya Mangala? He's also to fulfill the prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself and fulfill the prediction of Krishna that a Senapati Bhakta would come to the world and establish the chanting of Hare Krishna all over. And there are many astounding stories of how from practically nothing, and in the beginning the devotees within ISKCON had nothing other than their faith in Srila Prabhupada, faith in the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, faith in the example of Srila Prabhupada. That faith and dedication to the order of Srila Prabhupada, to the order of the previous acharyas, built ISKCON from nothing into the worldwide organisation that we experience today, and which is even now, despite the many challenges and even difficulties that we might face, it's still expanding. This movement, started by Srila Prabhupada, is not stopping. It is increasing. And so, from the evidence that we see before us, the evidence that we're experiencing ourselves, and from the participation that we've had the good fortune to be engaged in, we can understand that Srila Prabhupada is a very, very special servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.